most this generation rate, it falls half, even within zero point 0.5 micrometer or something like that. Okay, so it's a very thin, about 500 to 1000 nanometer. That is what we are talking about from the surface of the solar cell. So we will later discuss that the surface is and surface condition is very vital for certain things. Okay, so these are the two conclusions from this particular graph. So as I've said, there are various wavelengths at which the generation rate will occur. So if we want the total generation rate, we have to find out the generation because of every wavelength at every what you call the depth. Okay, so that will be summation of the generation rates for different wavelength, and you can see that the this is the actual number, by the way. So you can see near surface, the rate is almost 10 raised to 21. So it is 1000 times as compared to what we are having over here. That's why we rationalized the previous graph. Now, of course, earlier graph was bit misleading in the sense that red generation rate almost got nil at about 40 to 50. Okay, but that's not the point. This is the real curve. Uh, because this takes now real in the sense it takes consideration into many more wavelengths. So now you can see that you can appreciate what I'm talking about the thickness and saving of the material much better. So if this is 10 raised to 18, and you can say that this will be what, 0.7 into 10 raised to 18. So now if you see that just for that additional 0.7 this generation rate, how much it's double, almost the length or the depth of the solar cell is double for such a small generation. And that is what people realized over the time, that I will have a good compromise so that I save on the material. However, I compromise. I end up having little decrease in the efficiency, and this is how the 300 to 50 micron cell is now around 150. So probably now you can imagine, of course we cannot go lower than this. Why? Because then we have to make a very heavy compromise as far as efficiency is concerned, because as we go down here, there will be a great loss, relatively great loss for the material saved. So now what can be done is, so then people are coming with some clever ways. Can we convert these photons into the photons with higher energy? Okay, so that is called as up conversion and down conversion. If you remember from my first lecture, these are one of the methods. So what will happen is these photons, so if you have got with very less energy, let us say zero point 0.6, it cannot get absorbed with silicon. It requires a very large length as well. So what you can do is zero point 0.6 plus zero point 0.6, you can do 1.2. You can put it back into the cell, and you can reflect it by up conversion, and you can get 1.2 and it gets absorbed. So obviously your generation rate increases and your efficiency increases. So that's why material thickness and the physics, they go hand in hand. It is controlled by the engineering and the economics. Okay, let us solve some very quick question. Please read it. Okay, so I think we have got only one formula, right? Absorption length versus absorption coefficient. So you can see that a beam of photon 500 nanometer is falling. So it's a monochromatic line. Monochromatic means only one wavelength we are talking about. Absorption coefficient is given 10 raised to 4. Unit is of course per centimeter. So how much distance it will travel? So what is the answer? Siddhant Soren. Siddhant Soren. Absent. Siddhant Satpathy.
Yes, sir, Siddharth
What is the
Sore.
answer? What is the answer?
Doing, sir.
Kya doing? There is a straightforward formula, right? So is 1 by alpha. Alpha is given to you. So what is the length? Are you on the in the lecture or doing something else? Siddhant, I am talking to you. Siddharth, sorry.
Yes, sir, I am in the lecture.
Siddhant Satpathy. Siddhant Satpathy. Absent? Okay. Suresh Nair. Suresh Nair.
Sir, Anirudh.
There is Acha. Your name is Anurit. Okay, it's fine, fine. Sorry.
Yes.
So yeah, Nair. Yeah, what's the answer?
Sir, 2 into 10 to the power 6.
2 into 10 to
10
the
to the power
power
6.
6. Normally we measure it in micrometers. Okay, and it's not 2, by the way. How come 1 upon 10 raised to 4? How it will become 2? 500 nanometer is the wavelength, not the absorption coefficient. So you are not probably looking at the lecture, correct? You are busy with something else, right? Yeah, tell me what is absorption coefficient? Anirudh.
Yes, sir.
There is one, this is one-to-one communication, Anirudh. So I'm straightforward asking you, what is absorption coefficient?
Sir, sorry, sir. I don't know.
What, sorry? What's the point in just being here online because I can't see you? This is not the point. बंद करके रखो ना फिर. डीन को लिख दो कि क्यों ये फालतू का चीज कर रहे हो, घर पे छोड़ दो हमको. It would be good for me and you as well. I don't have to speak here, right? Like others, I can send you the videos. ले लो, जब करना है करो. Anyway, so the point is, what I'm trying to say is, let us say if it is 500 nanometer wavelength, you can see that the absorption length is just 1 micron. Okay, so now suppose you take it as what you call 1000 nanometers. Now, of course, you cannot calculate with the same data because the absorption coefficient is going to change at 1000 nanometer. Already, I have told that absorption coefficient depends on what you call the wavelength of the photon as well. Okay, so now see, two processes are complete. One is absorption, generation. Now let us go for the third and most important process over here, and that is called as recombination. In a simple sense, absorption is good, we should promote it. Generation is good, we should promote it. And as far as recombination is concerned, it is bad and we should not promote it. Okay, so let us try to find out why we don't want this recombination to happen. So obviously now absorption is done, then electrons or holes, whatever, the carrier is generated. Now the point is, obviously this electron, it has acquired some energy and it needs to stabilize. It needs to occupy a particular energy level. And as this Anirudh Nair, he also wants to be in the lowest energy position state where he doesn't want to work. Okay, so obviously what happens is he tries to lose the energy either, or he sits somewhere wherever the what you say minimum energy it can have. So just enough energy to stabilize. Okay, so then what happens is whenever it jumps with that energy, it is creating one vacancy, and that is what we call it as hole. So obviously there will be always a EHP, as I have told. Now, once it settles down, it tries to get back to the valence band from where it has jumped. And obviously, in this process, it will annihilate or it will remove the hole which it has generated. And this particular process is called as recombination. So you can see that it is related to the lifetime of the material. Now, what is the lifetime? generation means the birth. Okay, so when the electron absorbed that photon, it acquired some energy, it went to the upper level. So at that point, the birth of the electron has taken place, free electron, I should say. And see, automatically when there is a birth of free electron, there is a hole as well. Okay, so the lifetime is moreover, by the way, they are not equal, but moreover we can say that they are equal for electrons and holes. So birth take place, and when it electron comes back to the valence band, obviously now there is no freeness, so it is the death of the electron, and simultaneously the death of the hole. So whatever the time between this going up and coming down, that is called as the lifetime. Now, the point here is why recombination is bad, because see, with the so much of effort that up to optimizing the absorption and optimizing the generation, we have got these electrons, and they should not die before they do their work. And work of the electron or work of the carrier is to participate in the current, right? So suppose they die before this current, they constitute any current, then it's of no use. Okay, so in a vague sense, what I can relate it with the child mortality rate. Okay, so obviously, one has to live the complete life so that it can devote it to some work, it can complete its work, and then if there is death, we can say that the life is successful. Okay, but if the child mortality rate is high, the child is not even contributed to the world, and it has passed away, right? So same thing over here, and like we are trying to elongate the lifespan of human being for again fighting against various things, like mainly like disease and other things. So here also we are going to remove, or we are going to tackle whatever the sources of the recombination. But before that, we are going to learn some types. Now, obviously, generation, there is some generation rate, and there will be obviously some recombination rate. So it is given by G and R. And it depends on obviously how many carriers are available. More carriers are available, more probability that they will get recombined. Okay, and at thermal equilibrium, obviously, because there is no extra what is the extra electron or extra hole is available, so obviously whatever being generated has is getting consumed, that is recombined. So that's why the rate of generation must be equal to the rate of recombination at the thermal equilibrium. And this depends on what is the Ni ratio. Already we have seen that N0P0 is equal to Ni square. So G should be equal to R, and that should be equal to small r into Ni square, where that small r is the recombination probability. And that depends. So with this recombination, you can find out the value of, sorry, with this Ni, you can find out the generation rate and recombination rate as well. Now, as I said, lifetime for both carriers, electrons as well holes. But there is another classification of the carrier. Either it can be a majority carrier or it can be a minority carrier. And already I think I have explained, we are more, as far as solar cell working is concerned, we are more interested in the minority carrier lifetime. So this recombination rate, it depends on what is the number of excess minority carriers. Point is, if there is no excess carriers, then there is no possibility that the recombination will happen. So that's why the minority carrier lifetime in simple sense can be defined by the excess carriers. Now, as we are talking about, as we are interested in the minority carriers itself, because of their VIP, if you remember, then that difference is what will decide the minority carrier lifetime. So tau n and tau p can be defined as respectively the difference in the carriers, minority carriers, or excess of the carriers divided by what is the recombination rate, what is happening. So obviously we want this recombination rate to be as low as possible, such that the lifetime of the carrier will be much higher. In other sense, the smaller carrier lifetime suggests that there is a higher recombination or recombination happening in the material. Now, just to tell, this higher recombination indicates primarily there is a problem with the material itself. So again, what I'm trying to say is whatever the characteristics we are talking about, it will ultimately lead us to the property of the material or the quality of the material. So most of the time, this source for this recombination, someone's mic is on and it is horribly disturbing. Yeah. So, yeah, what I was saying, the source of this higher recombination is normally the what you call the impurities over here. So, and especially for solar cells, higher recombination is because of the impurity. We have already discussed about the impurities, right? So you can see that if the purification of the material is bad, there will be higher recombination. If higher recombination, the lifetime will be low. If lifetime is low, the lesser is the chance that that carrier will take part into the current, and obviously the current will be small and you won't get a good efficient solar cell over here. So that's why everything is absolutely related in this simple sense. Of course, I'll be talking about this very frequently, and I will be citing this particular relation many more times. So and as what you call the lecture progresses, the course progresses, you will understand and you will start appreciating how many things we have to do to tackle this lifetime. So and let me tell you, if I had to worry about a single characteristics of the material of the solar cell from the electrical side, I'll be talking about the lifetime. Okay, so efficiency of the solar cell is most of the time, or it is mostly related with what is the lifetime of the carrier. Anyway, so obviously longer minority carrier lifetime, we will have more efficient cells. Why minority? I have already explained that it is because of how much change we are having. So in minority, let us say n side. N side means electrons are in majority, holes are in majority. Sorry, minority. So if there is one hole and 100 electrons, and after we put some light on it, let us say this changes to 2 and this changes to 101, because only one EHP is generated over here. Now here the change is 50% and here change is roughly only 1%. So that's why the light is changing the concentration more for this minority carriers, and same thing we can talk about the other type of material as well. So and this injection is, we call it as low level injection. We have got very small new carriers which are coming up. Low level and high level injection we will talk sometime later. So anyway, so due to this condition, the calculation of carrier lifetime is normally done for the minority carriers, and that's why our carrier lifetime, whenever I say isolatedly carrier lifetime, it is always referred as the minority carrier lifetime. Now, this recombination is of three main types, which occurs in general semiconductors. So the first one, I'll give the example. Of course, the y-axis is energy, and I'm talking about now two levels. I'm taking just for example this conduction and valence band. It is not necessarily. It can be any two levels, any two different energy levels. Okay, but just to make it a bit simplified, I'm talking about conduction and valence band. Now let us say we have got one electron already sitting at conduction band. So when it drops to the valence band, what is going to happen? It is going to lose energy, and this loss of energy is always accompanied with a photon, and this kind of recombination is called as a radiating, because it radiates photon, it radiates some light energy, or band to band, because it is happening between the two bands. So this, as I've said, these two bands can be any band with some energy difference. Next one is the trap recombination. You can see that, of course, EC and EV are for the pure material, and obviously there cannot be, for example, for pure silicon, there cannot be anything, any energy level in between this EC and EV. Okay. However, if this material is impure, we can have some other material which is producing some energy level, especially in the mid of this band gap, and we can call it as trap. Why trap? Because the carriers can get trapped on this particular level. So now you can see in the previous radiative what happened, the electron has to come down. There is no other possibility. It has to come down to valence band only. It cannot sit somewhere in between. But now, because of this impurity, it has got more choice and it can come to this particular trap level. However, at that time it is giving out some photon like in radiative, right? But this whatever extra energy can knock out another what you say electron from the valence band, and that can also come at the trap level. So this is called as trap assisted, on a simple sense, Shockley-Reed-Hall SRH type of recombination. And then there is a third one. Again, electrons, it comes directly down. However, when it releases the energy, of course, that energy doesn't it's not restricted to a particular level, right? Energy is energy, so it can knock the electron which is already sitting in the conduction band, and it can allow us to reach to some levels which are higher than the conduction band level, and this is called as Auger recombination. So now these are the three possibilities and three dominant mechanisms in general in semiconductor. However, as I've said, it depends on the device, and it depends on what mechanisms and what other properties of the material that we are optimizing for a particular device, and that decides whether or which type of recombination mechanism would be present in our what is a device. Now, as far as the first one is concerned, you can see that photon is being released. So this particular is definitely not going to occur. SRH is the most dominant, and we will see that Auger is dominant only if it's conditional, only if the doping is higher. And most of the time doping is not at all higher in this solar cells. So radiative is absolutely zero. Auger can be little bit, and it would be higher only if the what we call the doping is quite high. Forget about these two. The most important for us would be SRH, or the trap assisted. And obviously, why it is happening? Because of impurity. So you can understand now, if you don't want this recombination, because recombination is bad, I should not have any impurity in the material. For that, I require the best purification levels in the material. But if that is the case, of course, this now lesser recombination is going to increase the efficiency, but the purity of increase in the purity material is going to increase the cost of the device as well. So this is how always you have to have that optimization, or what you call it as break even between the two quantities. Anyway, so let us go in with detail of these combinations. So this is dominated in a direct bandgap semiconductors. And that's why you can see that the solar cells, which are made up of the direct bandgap materials such as gallium arsenide, they will face such a type of recombination. And also, as you can see, fundamentally it is releasing one photon, right? So this happens. This is the objective in case of LEDs. So in case of LEDs, obviously you see this kind of recombination. The rate of recombination can be given for this. It's a straightforward formula where N and P are carriers and P is the proportionality constant, and that is determined for a particular material. And again, as I've said, the electron and hole minority carrier lifetime would be more over the same. Though actually it won't be, but we can generalize this thing. And why it is not? Because if you consider the mass of electron and hole, Interestingly, that is different. Okay, why it is different, I will talk about that in the next chapter. But it's logical, right? Electron is being knocked out and that creates the hole, but still the electron and the hole, they have got different mass. And interestingly, hole is not even a real quantity, a real thing. It's a fictitious thing. So that's what makes it interesting. But anyway, uh, the mass are all, let us, we can take it as almost equal, and we can say that the lifetimes are equal as well. Next one is the Auger recombination. Already I've explained the process. So in silicon solar cell, obviously it is going to any recombination for that matter is going to limit the lifetime and the efficiency ultimately. However, as I've said, this is possible only when the material is heavily doped. Okay, so here also you can give the recombination rate, and now it depends on N square. Okay, again B you can determine and you can find out the lifetime. This B, the constant of this particular order for silicon. Similarly, you can get the constant for different materials. Now, as far as this combination is, as I've said, in higher doping, it is more prone to see or more visible, and this doping level is greater than 10 raised to 18. And normally, as I've said, in silicon cell, even in the previous numericals, we have seen that this doping is roughly 10 raised to 16 or at max 17. 16 is the most common level. So that's why Auger is not that much. But however, there will be little one available. And the last one, or the most important for us, is SRH. So already you know this diagram, how it works. So it basically happening because of the impurities and the crystal defects. Okay, so it obviously it will not happen when the material is quite pure and quite without any defects. Okay, so the point is the rate of this would be dependent on how many traps levels we have, and already I have talked about that we have got two types of impurities: good impurity and bad impurity. Good impurities which we use for doping, but then there are bad impurities. Doping, we have seen that the levels are near to the conduction or valence band, whereas when it comes into in between, in mid-level or mid-gap trap levels, what we are talking about, these are bad for us, and mostly these are the metals. Okay, so I can give you the examples for this. So you can see here in silicon, this boron, aluminium, then phosphorus, and then antimony. All these are the good ones because we can use them for what you call it as doping. Okay, but whereas here, if you see copper, this gold, silver, whatever. So these all are sitting in between zero point 0.2, 0.5 to 0.53, because this is 1.1, so mid level will come out to be 0.5. Okay, so they are very near to this, and that's why if such impurities are present, the more probability that this is going to provide a trap level for the electrons. So instead of electron going from here to here, it will just try to sit here only. Okay, so it is something like there should not be what you say last benches. Why? Because everybody wants to go and occupy the last benches, right? But then it cannot happen. Why? Even there are few rows, there will be always the last bench. So that is what I mean over here. Anyway, so these defect or trap levels, that is what we have to avoid. And then don't write this formula. I'm going to give you the slides so you can note it down. To note it down later. So this recombination, it depends on obviously the concentration. It depends on what is the what you call it as capture cross section. We're not going to detail of that. You can simply take it as constant for the particular material. What important for us is this particular NP minus Ni square. It indicates that what is the excess concentration that what we have. And second important thing is the trap levels. How many number of trap levels which are available for us. Now then this N and P again we can these are the concentration levels, right? So we can find out their value. These formulas we will discuss in the next chapter. And we can also substitute this tau values over here, or rather we can substitute the sigma value so that we can find out the expression in terms of tau values. And we know that the recombination time, it depends on the excess divided by the recombination rate. So if we substitute everything and if we do some recombination, then we get this particular simplified formula. And at this point, you can say that one is for electrons and one is for holes. Now here what happens is there are two cases which will arise. One is high level injection. In a simple sense, if I had to tell you, high level injection means I am injecting because of whatever the reason. It may be biasing, it may be more number of photons, extra light, whatever you think of. So in a simple sense, more carriers, very high level of carriers. If I had to quantify this, I can do something like this. Let us say this is the majority level, this is the minority level, okay, with respect to whatever the basic level, equilibrium level we have. So obviously, you know that majority level is too high, logarithmically quite high. So when I'm talking about high level injection, it is something of this level. And when I talk about low level injection, it is something of this level, okay. So just to give you some idea, we'll talk about this exact high level injection quite later. So high level is too much of dose, nothing else, okay. So at that time, you can easily understand that delta L would be too high compared to any of the concentration. So this formula will reduce simply to the addition of 2. Now, when it is low level injection, the things will change. It depends on what is the injection, because now these two are comparable, right? And we are more worried about the minority levels. So this becomes comparison, and then moreover, it will be dominated by whatever whatever the injection you are talking, so whatever type of doping you are talking about. So the point is, depending upon that level of injection, it means the level of doping your recombination is going to it is going to happen. Okay. Now I'll try to explain in some other way as well. Let us say we are generating some carriers, okay, majority as well as minority. And majority we are not concerned about, minority we are concerned about, okay. Now let us say it's a N type, so we have got electron as majority, so obviously holes are in minority. Now the holes, the concentration of holes, that is what going to drive the current. Now suppose this doping is too high, such that it is going to annihilate these holes, then obviously the lifetime is going to decrease. And then we should understand that this delta N, that is what we should have, should be quite high, such that the difference always remains, and we get the recombination rate is low and the lifetime would be high. So the difference in the minority carrier concentration should be always high. Now, in a material, as I've said, in a ideal semiconductor, you can say all three are going to all three recombinations are going to happen. So the total recombination we can think of, and we can have the bulk lifetime. It means the lifetime of any carrier in that particular material, okay, not related to a particular one. So the simplified formula can be this, where you are taking into account all three. But in solar cell, this would be absent, this would be absent, only one would be there. So your tau SRH would be roughly equal to the lifetime of the material itself. Then obviously on doping, this recombination would be dependent. So let us say we are having more p dopant, means what you call p dopant means which would be higher, holes would be in majority, correct? Help me here. holes would be higher, correct? Hello, are you
Yes, sir.
listening?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
so holes would be higher, and then electrons would be in lower. So which material we use for P type of doping?
Aluminium.
So barium, aluminium.
Barium, no, boron. B for boron,
Yes,
not
boron.
barium.
Yes, sir.
Boron,
Yes,
boron,
boron,
not
aluminium.
boron or aluminum, right? So obviously here what is happening is whenever we put more dopant atoms, it means that let us say the Al is more. Okay. Now what happens is when you give uh, when you give more minority carriers, what is going to happen? Already there are more very high amount of majority which is present. Now what happens is when you increase this concentration, obviously uh, there is more possibility that more majority carriers are going to annihilate, right? So it means that as you increase the doping, the recombination possibility would be higher. And if recombination possibility is higher, even though you are trying to what is the basic function of doping, that you want more carriers so that they can conduct, right? But when you do that, the recombination rate also increases. So that is how you have to optimize between the doping and what you call it as recombination time. So you can see over here that the lifetime, it is very what you say, very high. 10 raised to minus 2 is very high, 10 raised to minus 6 is very low. So you can see that here this is high, then and it becomes almost constant. Okay, it becomes almost constant, and that happens somewhere around 10 raised to 14 to 16. And that is why you can understand that there is no point in you're having more doping, because even if you dope it, it is not going to increase the number of carriers. Rather, you will simply increase the recombination. And when in few slides back I said that 10 raised to 16 is the typical doping that we use in solar cell. So why it is happening? Because of this particular reason. Beyond 10 raised to 16, nothing is going to happen. Only recombination will take place, and the lifetime is not going to improve. So there is no point in having a high doping. So that's why 10 raised to 14, 16, 17. These are the what you say optimized doping for especially for the solar cells. And of course, when you are going for LED or some other applications, these doping levels will change. We are talking about solar cell only. So let us solve one quick numerical over here. Yeah. So minority carrier concentration in N-type material is given, and that is about yeah, I think that number is yeah, that 10.
So that number is
Just
not visible.
yeah, अरे बाबा हाँ वही बात कर रहा हूँ. Okay, just give me a second. How I missed that. Just give me a second. Yeah, fine. I'm sharing it again. Okay, fine. So what minority concentration is 10 raised to 3, right? So that is you can also understand these numbers. Now when the light is incident, the minority carrier concentration is changing to 10 raised to 16. So that's a huge change. Now this is what the excess carrier I mean. Earlier it was only 10 raised to 3. Now I have what 10 raised to 16. So because of this light, the extra carriers are generated. So we can find out the extra carrier concentration. Now, as it is 16 versus 3, so this 10 raised to 3 is very negligible. So better neglect it, and we can say that yes, roughly the excess minority concentration is about 10 raised to 16. Now, if this minority carrier is traveling a distance of 2 micrometer in 2 microsecond before recombining, calculate the recombination rate. So the time taken is 2 microseconds and the distance is 2 micrometers. So time is given 2 microsecond, and we know that rate is given by delta P, that is the excess concentration, divided by the minority carrier lifetime. So the lifetime comes about, recombination rate comes out about 5 into 10 raised to 22 centimeter cube per second. So per second, these many these many recombinations are happening in a centimeter cube volume. Okay, so you will get this fair idea of what is the typical lifetime and typical numbers that what we are talking about for solar cells. Okay. Now next topics, it is already 6:10, so I won't start a new topic. There are two small concepts which are remaining. One is diffusion length and surface recombination. That we will discuss in the next lecture. So that's all for today. Thank you for joining. So I think any quick questions? Shivam Tripathi, are you there today? No? Okay. Anyways, so thank you all. I'll end this meeting. Bye.